In the city, a thriving metropolis encompassing 1/3 billion souls, a man can change his world as easily as crossing the street. It is a place of a million cultures, the world in microcosm. For some, it is their last hope for survival. For others, it is their playground. And for others yet, it is their hunting ground. Isaac Sarason is a talented hacker, a doctor of applied network theory, trusted employee of British Telecom-Sprint. He lived in a world which 90% of his fellow citizens can only imagine. And he has a problem. His health is failing. His job is on the line. His world is crumbling around him. He wants out. And the street is his only escape. What happens when the life you dreamed of is killing you? What do you do when you find yourself hijacked? Colbyjack.net is proud to present Firmware, Hijacked, written and performed by R.L. Ferguson. Firmware, Hijacked by R.L. Ferguson. Episode 3. 6. I sat and drank with Leo until the night passed into the indistinct gray of pre-dawn. It was nice. Sitting, talking. Not worried about getting back to work, not worried about what was to come. My eyes were heavy. I thought it might be possible to sleep. I checked the time. 3 hours and I had to be at work. That wasn't happening. Hell, I didn't even know where the nearest train was or which line to take from here. I was in the wilderness beyond the maps I knew. They should have signs up saying, "Here be dragons." I snickered as I pictured red and orange Russian dragons wandering the streets. "You need to sleep," Leo said, "especially a man in your condition." My condition. Oh yes, my condition. Work. There would be trouble if I didn't show. Couldn't no-show. Had to place a call to Murray. He wouldn't be in yet, but his system could take the message. I'd make it text only. It'd be simpler, safer. "Excuse me." I took out my phone. "Need to send a message. Wouldn't want to lose my job. Not before they could fire me." Leo watched as I stabbed at my phone screen. First the message, then the biological monitor dump, which I tweaked a bit. "You calling in sick?" Leo asked. "Yep," I answered. Damn, it was hard to write coherently when your finger wandered drunkenly across the screen. "Just need to change my biomonitoring data a bit. Remove the alcohol readings, let them see my current state." That should be enough to convince them. I let the phone clatter to the table when I finished my manipulations. Leo's eyes were bright, like a cat finally cornering a mouse. "You can change your biomonitor output?" Cracked the chip last year. Had to. If they knew how bad things were, I'd have been out of my ear long ago. I pointed out the window at an old man with a shopping cart picking up trash on the street. That'd be me. Leo smiled and nodded. "You said you needed to remove the alcohol. Was that through the chip or something?" "There's an app for that. Advantage of working IT for BTS. Know all the ways to break a phone there is." I tapped the phone and thought. I frowned. Murray would contact me, probably about noon. He'd check my location. If not him, then BTS talent security. Either way, they'd know I wasn't home. Crossed that bridge when I got there. Nice. A talented fellow like you shouldn't be treated so rudely. What with the checkups and the spying?" Leo tapped my hand. "Did you register your address with your bosses?" "Not the place over Georgie's. Forgot completely about it." Good. I might be able to help you." Leo turned and waved at the back table where the boy in black and gray urban camouflage sat. The boy came to our table. He nodded at me before lowering his head to Leo. Leo spoke something of what I now knew as Georgian. The only words that caught my attention were Mosp Anna. I stared at Leo, seeing his white rose tattoo in a new light. He saw that I knew with a smile. His canine seemed to grow in my mind's eye. What was I messed up with? Mosp Anna. She was the bane of BTS IT security. No one knew if it was one really genius hacker or a team of extraordinary skill. I favored the one genius theory, while the hotshots in IT security claimed it had to be a team. The strikes were too accurate, too fast, and too subtle. I would counter with it being skill. A patient, skilled hacker could automate a large number of processes. Multiple actions perpetrated on multiple machines triggered like a Burroughs 4th of July display. One man with a lot of preparation could blow off a lot of fireworks with the right control setup. It was my theory that Mosbana had that setup. The cowboys in IT security wouldn't believe it. They ran direct feed decks, living in a virtual representation of the networks that riddled the city. They saw data the way I saw color. They claimed they could feel the shift of bits across the corporate firewalls. There was no way, they said, for anyone to approach their data fortress without them feeling the shift in bandwidth, a tremor of force in a sea of shifting data. Not only couldn't it be one person, but because they couldn't feel Mosbana in the fields of force they skimmed every hour of every working day, it had to be a foreign power. Maybe the bloody Tsar, or the Franco-Deutsche Foreign Service, or even the good old NSA trying to find a foothold in the city for their federal masters. It was a religious belief among BTS IT security. Mosbana was too good to be local, too powerful not to be a government. It made them feel better to believe the bane of their existence was all-powerful, with tools and equipment beyond the resources of BTS. I found it hard to believe. First, British Telecom-Sprint had the third tightest IT security in the world. Only Zhonggong Yodong Tokshin and Sanofi Aventis Novartis were better. Where would this groundbreaking hacking technology come from? Second, Mosbana only struck locations in the city. BTS had 1 million access points scattered across 3 continents. Why were only the 500,000 access points in the city at risk? Wouldn't the Franco-Deutsche Foreign Service strike our European access points? Faster response times. Besides, BTS's city network was the tightest of all our markets. Third, I liked being contrary. Nothing upsets a white-hat desk jockey more than having it pointed out that an attack on the block relay control system could, mind you, have been carried out by a genius using a complex series of scripts and proxies. That really steamed them. While they hunted the net for the mysterious Mosbana without success, I sat in Little Russia, barely a dozen miles from the most defended node in the BTS network, with a man who not only knew her name, but also who she was, and if she really was a she. Leo interrupted my thoughts. I have an associate that can arrange certain services for you. My associate will need the phone and your address. Is that possible? It violated every rule of phone security. But if it kept IT security off my back, what choice did I have? Not a problem, I answered. What would the price be? There had to be a price. I popped out my phone's memory chip before handing my phone to Leo. With my phone, I also gave Leo my old address, as well as my phone lock code. Mosbana could break the phone's security with ease, I was sure. But why make it harder than it was? I pocketed the memory chip. Mosbana didn't deserve what was on it. I'll send someone up with your phone when it is fixed, Leo said. He yawned. The boy in the black camouflage left with my phone, left out the door. Time for this old man to catch some sleep. Leo stood up from the booth. I moved to follow and staggered as I left the cocooning support of the booth. The room spun. Leo moved to support me. I'll help you home. Wouldn't want to see you hurt yourself. Maybe you wouldn't find your apartment at all. 12 stories drunk as a skunk. No, I'll see you home. He gave me his arm and directed me out of the bar and onto the street. We stopped before the door, and Leo called something in Georgian to the bartender. The bartender nodded back. We wobbled out into the early morning light. Firmware Hijacked is available in our feed for the low price of free, and will also be available from Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Smashwords as well at a low price. The feed copy is being released under the same attribution non-commercial share-alike license as the podcast. The commercial copy is under the licensing agreement of where you purchase it. Some of you might be a bit confused. Why am I selling something I am giving away? The answer is quite devious in its simplicity. If you want to support the podcast, the best thing someone can do for us right now is to buy one of our books and post a review. Please let it be 5 stars. Please, please. Now, to get the ability to review a book, it is necessary at many places to have already bought it. So I'm making it cheap and easy for you to write a review and support the podcast. Plus, many people don't get the whole podcast thing, and would much rather have a book and wouldn't discover us if it weren't in one of the big stores. And the big stores don't like putting stuff up for free, so there you go. In addition, if you want your tale a bit at a time, we'll also be including Firmware in our newest feature, Colbyjack.net Sunday Reader. This will be a weekly EPUB publication, which will include all of our original fiction appearing on the podcast, as well as any surprises we wish to include for your enjoyment. So please enjoy. And once again, if you want to help us out, the best thing you could do at this time is to hit up iTunes, Amazon, which doesn't require you to buy before reviewing, Barnes & Noble, or Smashwords, and give us a review. It's your reviews that will get us noticed. Thank you. Firmware, Hijacked, was written and performed by R.L. Ferguson. This work is released under Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share-alike license. Do what you want with it. Remix it, re-record it, transcribe it, share it. Just don't sell it or change the terms of the license. Your creation must be released under an Attribution, Non-Commercial, Share-alike license. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.